Okay, our last dividing problem. Let's knock this out of the park. So again, if you are understanding what you're doing and you want to try 14 on your own, I say go for it. Otherwise, you can just follow along. Okay, so again, I'm going to divide the entire denominator into every single term in my numerator, which I have 3 terms in the numerator. So I'm going to divide 3 times. Okay, so my first term is 56x to the third. My next term is negative 3x squared. And my last term is an x. And I'm going to divide all 3 of these terms by 8x. And again, if it helps you, remember if you're missing any exponents, they're always secretly a 1. Also, if you don't have a number in front of your variable, it's also secretly a 1. Okay, and again, we are dividing the coefficients or the numbers in front of the variables, and we are subtracting the exponents on the variables. Okay, so I'm going to start by dividing 56 by 8, which 56 divided by 8 is 7. And I'm going to subtract my exponents. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So this would be 7x squared. Okay, my next one, I'm going to divide the coefficients, but negative 3 doesn't divide into 8 evenly. Oh no. Okay, well don't forget, we don't panic. So if it doesn't divide, we just simply leave it as negative 3/8. Don't overthink it. Don't make your life any more difficult than it needs to be. Converting that into a decimal would take a lot longer. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it as negative 3/8. Okay, and I'm going to subtract my exponents. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So I'm left with x to the first or just x. Now, when you're writing the x, you can either write it, there's 2 ways you can do it. Okay, so I'm going to write it, this is typically the way you would write this. You write the coefficient in front of the x. Now, technically what this means, you guys, okay, I'm going to write it over here. Okay, negative 3 over 8x. Remember, if you ever have 2 things written right next to each other, there secretly is multiplication in between. So these are multiplying technically. So we're multiplying negative 3 over 8 times x, which if I don't have a denominator, that means x is secretly over 1. Okay, so another way you can write this, when you multiply fractions, you go straight across. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Over 8 times 1 is 8. Okay, so these 2 things mean the same thing. You can write it as negative 3x over 8 or as negative 3/8 x. They mean the same thing. So I don't care which way you guys write this. Typically, this is the way you're going to see it, but this is not wrong. So that's just kind of letting you know different ways you can write the same answer. Okay? Now my last one, again, I'm going to divide the 1 by the 8, but they don't divide evenly. Oh no. Well, remember, we don't panic. Don't panic. Miss Long is starting to panic. Don't do that. I'm just going to bring on down my 1/8. Okay? And then x divided by x, whenever you have the same number divided by itself, it equals 1, or it cancels out. So this is like 1/8 times 1, which is 1/8. So remember, it's kind of like up here. I showed you that. So the 5/2 we brought down, and then x divided by x, well, anything divided by itself is 1. And 5/2 times 1 is 5/2. So just remember when you cancel things out, it looks like it vanishes into thin air. It looks like it just went away, but it doesn't. So watch yourself. Technically, this is 1/8 times 1, which is just 1/8. So just be careful when you say cancel out. Okay, I don't want the demon cats to get you guys. So I'm just trying to watch out for you. So that is what each of these terms reduce down to. So your final answer will be 7x squared minus 3/8 x plus 1/8. And that's it.